Good evening. I'll call the January 2025 meeting to order of the Madison DX Club. And the first thing on our agenda is, as you all know that are online and others who may join us later, that we lost a real pillar in our amateur radio community in the Madison area, and a great DXer, Lloyd Berg, N9LB. He died just after the first of the year. And Lloyd had been president treasurer of this group. In fact, I became a member because of Lloyd. We lived relatively close. I saw antenna towers at his place, pulled in, talked with him. And before I left, he said, "You should join the Madison DX Club." And I don't think I had my tower up yet. And I think I sent in my money for several years, but never came to a meeting, and then finally did come and found a very welcoming group here. And it was thanks to Lloyd. So I just want to give everyone an opportunity to, say something if they feel so motivated about Lloyd.
I can hop in here real quick for a short comment. I certainly did not know Lloyd as long as most of all of the rest of you, because I'm the kid here in this group. But I worked with Lloyd on multiple jobs, and I always learned something from him. He was always willing to take the time if Lloyd, why are you doing that? What does that do? And he would always, he never shrugged me off and acted like, this is a dumb kid. He always took the time to explain it. That's why I always, whenever he was working on a project, I always asked him, can I tail along? So he helped me here in my radio rec room here, not rec as in REC, but the other kind of rec, because it's kind of messy right now. But he quite often helped me out with a part or a piece, or certainly advice. And him, along with some other hams, certainly got me to where I am now. So he certainly will be missed.
Anyone else? One of the things that I talked to Lloyd about last spring was coming over and helping me with some stuff, and we had made plans to get together, and I sent him some technical documents, and he was working on those, and that's when he first started to have some additional pain, and as a result, it never happened. But right through the November meeting, he was always our co-host on these programs, helping me stomp down people who left their microphones unmuted and made noise. He and Bonnie, had a beautiful home, 2 boys, very active in Scouts. I learned that from his neighbors, and he was a real strength, whether it be FLARC, whether it be Madison DX Club, or, as you just said, Dave, just someone that was always willing to help out. So we understand that there will be some sort of a celebration of life, perhaps in May. I plan to be back by May, Ed. I assume you'll probably be back in Wisconsin sometime in May, so that would be good. So thank you. Getting on to the rest of our agenda. minutes and treasurer's report. The minutes have been posted on or will be posted on our webpage. They're always there on our webpage. And for the treasurer's report, Jim, do you want to share that with us?
Sure. All right, right now we're at 1466.30.
And that's with a very, very nice
yeah.
Contribution from one of our less active members, but someone who has always cared for the club and for us. So that gives us a little breathing room when we get requests. So.
Yep, I think our number right now is 36 members.
Well, that's great. That's great. It's a little bit lower down on the agenda, but since we're talking money, let me just bring up on the agenda the new business. We got a request a couple of days ago. I think it came to Dave and Jim and myself about Island on the Air off India. And apparently, from what I understand from Bob, for a DXCC, it's still considered India, so it's not a separate entity, but it is for, islands on the air. So one of the questions that Dave raised, and I had the same kind of thought and so forth, is what is that something that members of our club participate in? Chase islands on the air? I mean, there's parks on the air, islands on the air, mountaintops on the air, I forget what. Whether it's something that we should be supporting or we just wish them well, and we focus on the DXCC entities. So we don't have to decide today. We can bring this up at another meeting as well. But if anyone has any initial thoughts or desires and so forth.
Well, I do have some initial thoughts. I mean, there's a million places you can spend your money, and we're not exactly a rich club by any stretch of the imagination. I think we really do need to concentrate on two things. Number one, first of all, our obligations to the community, which is our website, our DX cluster, our reflector, etc. And number two, the major DXpeditions, the ones that are big time money and they need the help. You got to draw the line someplace, and I think you have to define that, Kevin.
Yeah, the officers have talked a few months ago, and I think we shared this with the club after that discussion, and that is that if it's not in the top, say, 100 most wanted, that's maybe kind of the first filter we put on. That isn't to say that something further down, because it may be supporting a youth program for DXers getting involved, or something more cutting edge, like the DX in a box. I forget what the term that they use for that, but things like that. And we've kind of used that, but there are a lot of islands. There's a lot of parks. This one didn't seem particularly compelling, but anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Nothing for me other than, like I had said in the continuing thread, perhaps it's something we should ask the club members. I'm happy staying with DXCC, but I kept thinking back, are there members of the club that are also chasing the islands? So that's the only reason why I fought the side of the devil's advocate or whatever. I'm happy with staying with just the DXCC entities myself.
Okay, I'll put something out to the on the listserv. And then we'll finish the discussion at the next meeting. And I mean, I think, you know, Ed's points are well taken. And at the same time, as Dave just mentioned, you know, maybe, you know, some of our members are kind of like, okay, I've done that. Let me try aisles on the air or something like that. But we'll talk more about that. But I just wanted to get the discussion started on that. We haven't gotten any other requests over the last couple of months, which in a way kind of surprises me, but we'll see what happens. Maybe once we get past the darkness of winter, it'll turn around. How's DX? Anyone have any comments?
What was the question was, I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Oh, DX, is anyone doing any DX, or I think Ed during the,
Well, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. Where is 6 meters? Please come back. But meanwhile, 10 meters is just every single day. FDA is just alive and screaming all the way back into well beyond sunset here.
6 meters isn't completely gone away. I've been working a fair amount of trans-equatorial stuff in the last few days, plus a fair amount of Europeans in the last couple of weeks. It hasn't been terrific openings into deep Europe, but you know, it's not bad.
I've got a report. I'm not getting it here in Arizona. Just deader than a doornail.
But at least it's a dry heat.
Yeah, right, exactly.
yeah, well, maybe you should,
That's a
maybe you
good
should
one.
come back and go back to Wisconsin for a couple of months.
May have to.
Yeah,
I could
6 has been,
break into your shack and work some stuff for you if you want.
You don't have to break in. I'll tell you how to get there.
I already know.
6 has been spotty. I heard a couple HCs on this morning. January 1st, we had a pretty solid opening into the Central and South America. I picked up 8R1, which is a new one for 6 meters. And yesterday I got something nice in the mail. I got my 6 meter DXCC certificate.
Oh, congratulations.
I had the confirmations back last summer, but with the cyber attack, the ARL is way behind. And I finally put my submission in on November 26th, and about a week or so, there was indications that I got it because I showed up on the 6 meter, the ARL's list of DXCC holders. I showed up on 6 meters, and the certificate came yesterday. So I'm pretty happy because it only looks like a little over a dozen or so people have gotten it from Wisconsin.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I
great.
need about 35 to get there yet, and it's becoming a real fight.
I had about 50 of them back from around 2000, and a lot of guys got it 2000, 2001, but I was working like 7 days a week, 12 or 14 hours a day. I remember getting phone calls at Sunday morning at work saying, Gary, go home. It's open to Yugoslavia. And after the last sunspot cycle, we just didn't really get anything. I pretty much lost interest. When FT8 came along, it opened up the opportunity that you could start working stuff on multi-hop skip. And so I've been slowly, probably the last 5 or 6 years, is slowly growing. And we got a little bit of F conditions here so far in this sunspot cycle. I'd sure like to see like we had back in 2001 for a month or so. It's just, it would be really nice.
I think we ought to suggest a new award to ARRL, the one you almost got award. I've got plenty of those on 6 where you get half of a contact. And I don't know if that's more frustrating or like Ed's saying, he's just not hearing anything. You get half of a contact and you're just left hanging. I'm looking at my board right now. I've got 73 worked on 6, but only 64 confirmed. So 64 is the number I have that I'm still working. All the rest of the bands have got well over 100. So this 6 keeps eluding me.
I'm up to 89 confirmed. And they're getting hard to find.
Yeah.
So anything else going on? I know the sunspots are hot and heavy and interfering with some of the lower bands, I assume.
Well, they've been dropping. The solar flux is 166, and it seems like all the sunspots are in one hemisphere. And so we'll
Yeah.
get a period of a couple of weeks where it's way up in the 200s, and then it rotates around. There's not much there. It's around 160, which is still, I mean, that's even very good for 10 meters. So, but it's not enough for 6 meters. So.
As we've said before, the YouTube channel has all of our videos, and we have quite a few, some really good ones. Both Lloyd and Ed did ones on grounding. They've been very, very popular. And our propagation videos, primarily Carl, but others have been really good. In fact, when you'll take a look, a lot of our 6 meter and propagation videos have been, some of the best. I know, Gary, you did a program for us a couple of years ago. So one of these days I want to try to organize our videos into categories, so it's a little bit easier to find. And we have been publishing these meetings. Bob thought it would be good to have that out there. We'll keep 2 up. So when I load this one up, I'll take off the one from, I guess it'd probably be the October meeting and so forth. Anything else for the good of the group?
Anything else from what?
Anything else for
Oh,
to discuss?
okay, speaking of group, did any of
No,
you guys
group.
get anything from ARL about grouper?
Not that I've seen.
Well, there's this little program out there that somebody, an ARL is sanctioning and part of it, that said, gee, it'd be really nice to stimulate activity. So we'll send you a check for $50, and we will continue to send you a check for every 3 months for $20 for every month you go in online and say you were active in some ham meeting or activity or some such thing. And you should have got a thing from ARL about it.
You sure it wasn't on
It's
April
easy enough
1st?
to fill out, and I'm just waiting to see the check come.
Yeah, you sure that wasn't an April 1st deadline?
I don't think so.
It goes through your insurance, your health insurance.
Yeah, I haven't, I don't seem to be getting that many emails from ARRL, and I haven't looked at the magazine lately because I guess it's online, and I just haven't messed with it. So Gary, is there other systems back up and running? Because I know they were back and then they kind of slid off again.
Yeah, I understand that some stuff is down, like the ARL people, the officers and stuff. they don't have all their email stuff working. But on Grouper, yeah, it was just recently, if you go to the webpage a couple of days ago, was the URL, it had a listing there. There's two guys that I have breakfast with once a month or so, and they're real big on it. And they were saying, yeah, I got my check for $20 last week or something like that. So it
Yeah.
depends on if you go to the website, you go and click on a few things like your zip code or whatever, and then I don't know what it does, but it's something about, it depends on the insurance. I know mine did. I haven't signed up for it. I'm just, something about that whole thing bothers me, but
Well, the whole thing seems weird, but it is an insurance thing and it's based on mental health. And UHC is our insurance company, and I mean, it specifically talks about ARRL, et cetera.
yeah, it's like the things, things like the silver slippers where you go and exercise for seniors, like,
No, okay.
and I think of what it is. It's another way for another company to bilk the government from Social Security. But it's just a lot of that stuff. And I guess you don't have to do, you just basically get to say that you did this stuff, and these guys thought you would have to kind of keep a log. Well, I went to this ham radio meeting and I had lunch with these ham radio guys, but it just basically just click on it once a month and according to them and certify, yeah, I did stuff and the money comes. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to yearly send you a check for $50 and 4 times a year send you a check for $20 for simply filling out a thing with my name and address and going in once a month and saying, yeah, I went to a meeting, why not?
Yeah.
Well, and here you are, Ed, at a meeting.
I'm at a meeting. Well, yeah, I don't have any problems qualifying.
It's interaction with other people. That's the thing that this is to encourage.
Oh, yeah, no, makes sense. It makes a lot of
Because I
sense.
mean, a lot of times as people get older, they get kind of isolated and they don't meet with people, and it's not good mentally health wise. I hope the ARL gets a cut for them because they need the money.
Yeah, they do. All right, well, on that happy note, we'll adjourn the meeting and we'll start our program in just a couple of minutes. So